And let's talk about the Nicole Kidman in the room.
Yeah.
This is her first on-screen appearance.
Yeah.
And like she is a major lead in this movie. And she's just so young. It was just a lot of fun like seeing somebody, before they became famous.
Exactly.
Drive-By Movies here. You're watching Direct to Dumpster. My name is Blaze.
I'm James.
This week, we're talking BMX Bandits, directed by Brian Trenchard Smith. BMX Bandits is a 1982 action movie. I guess it would be a kid's action movie. And of course, it's about BMX and some
hooligan kids, I'd say. Yeah.
And a robbery gone wrong.
Right. Yeah. The BMX Bandits are the hooligan kids.
Essentially.
So far, I mean, this is a movie I wish I got to see when I was a kid and growing up in the 90s because I would have absolutely ate this up. I think because in the 90s, like Tony Hawk and who are the Matt Hoffman and stuff. Those are like the heroes that we all had and stuff. And this movie, I got to watch it during the Matt Hoffman days.
Yeah.
Ryan Nyquist, I think his name was, or something.
Yep.
I could be wrong, but yeah, just those BMX bikers, they were huge. And
BMX XXX.
The movie Triple X?
No. It was literally a video game called BMX XXX. It was the first video game I ever saw where there was it's
BMX.
all nudity in like the video game. It's
wow.
It's like Tony Hawk but on BMX with nudity in it.
I'm
I never played
unfamiliar
it
with
because I know you had to be over 18 to buy it.
Yeah.
But I just remember being my mind was blown. Like this exists and it's so 90s.
See, I remember as a kid when I went to Blockbuster, they had the video game section. So did Hollywood Video, and there was it had all the rating systems, and one was adults only. And I was like, "What's an adults only game?"
And it was back there.
Yeah, I'm getting sidetracked. But this movie, I can see it being one of my favorites, though. And it was a really entertaining watch. I guess it's because the beach setting, it reminded me of Point Break and everything. But because the Goonies is a movie that meant a lot to me as a kid, and these kids, while they're a lot older, they're more in their teenage years and stuff. It still had that same feel for me.
Yeah.
It's still enjoyable as an adult, I'd say, but I just wish I got to see it at a younger age because I definitely would have been more mesmerized and probably would have loved this movie a lot more.
Yeah, I think seeing a movie like this without you have the nostalgic factor of it's a cool 80s movie. I know we were talking about the 90s, but this is the 80s.
Yeah.
And I don't have that nostalgia from growing up, but I have the appreciation of the 80s genres.
Yeah.
And most especially in this movie, I think what really shined was the synth score. I thought it was especially whenever a bike went zooming by, there was just they'd hit a key and I just feel sick.
The chase sequences too. I mean, so even though they're ridiculous, I can't believe these people are in cars and they're chasing guys on bikes and they're still riding on the road too. You can easily run them over, but that never happens. Usually they'll just cut them off and then the biker will just go in a circle. And
it was just fun. It reminded me of the fact that I think we were talking about it recently. There's just the adventure genre seems gone. I know this is a kid's movie, but also it just had a sense of adventure and just the fact that, okay, these kids are getting into something way over their head with actual bandits, robbers that robbed a bank.
Yeah.
And are they going to get out of this alive, let alone, maybe play the hero at the same time?
Yeah.
It was a fun watch. I think this would have been one of those movies, like you mentioned, that if you saw as a kid, you'd really be holding this dear.
Right. And one thing also I want to bring up was the really cool shots of Australia. This is an area of Australia I haven't seen. Whenever anyone thinks of Australia, they're thinking of the desert scenery and stuff. Kangaroo Jack takes place in the desert.
You think the outback.
Yeah, exactly. But no, Australia is known for its huge waves for surfing and stuff. And while this movie stays away from surfing for the most part, it just I liked that beach feel and stuff. It reminded me of Venice Beach here in LA or Santa Cruz up in the Bay Area. It had more of that feel. And so it's cool to see Australia in another light. Well, it helps with it being an Australian movie essentially.
And let's talk about the Nicole Kidman in the room.
Yeah.
This is her first on-screen appearance.
Yeah.
And she is a major lead in this movie. And she's just so young, to see her, obviously have this vision of maybe the first time you saw her in a movie.
Yeah.
But to see her just as like a young kid, you know,
Yeah.
it was just a lot of fun, like seeing somebody, you know, before they became famous.
Exactly, yeah. Like, and it seems like she probably had a blast doing this. And I like that it's like kids overpowering the adults and stuff. Yeah, the adults are never over the top bad, I felt like, which is kind of fun. Because like, you know, Home Alone, even though those movies are like fun, it's a kid outsmarting the adults. Like, it never felt like they were that like over the top, like dorks and stuff. Like, you never sense any real sense of danger, I feel like, in this. Nicole Kidman getting kidnapped towards the end was like, oh, that's creepy. But just the idea that she like fights back and talks back and isn't like a romantic interest between the kids and stuff. They're all like equals and stuff. Like, that's cool.
Yeah, and it's still fairly child friendly, even though it does kind of deal with like a more serious theme of like you know, guns and like a robber essentially.
One thing though, also though, I loved is just the fact that it's like kids working with like the police and stuff. Like, I found that hilarious. Like, why the hell do they enlist all these kids to help the cops out and stuff? Then at the end, their reward is just like, let's build them a BMX park, and there's like a big race, and it goes into credits and stuff. Yeah,
it definitely. I have to say, like, if you have Amazon Prime, that's where we watch this. The restoration cut is awesome. Like, it looks very good. It was very HD, very beautiful to look at, and I thought like definitely this thing transported me into the 80s, especially with that soundtrack.
Yeah, it's not the best movie at all, but definitely recommend it for like, you know, it's a movie that like any generation can watch, I feel like, and find entertaining if you're watching it at the correct age or something.
I definitely say pull it out of the dumpster, put it in your VHS collection. You're definitely gonna like this one.
And that's going to conclude this week's episode of Direct to Dumpster. Thanks so much for checking us out. We really appreciate the support. Best way to help us out, though, is watching BMX Bandits on our Amazon affiliate link in the description box below.
And leave a comment. Let us know what you thought of BMX Bandits. Definitely click that subscribe button and the notification bell to let you know when a new video comes out.
That's going to conclude this week's episode. Drive By Movies will be coming at you with another new video next week.